Morning, guys. Just here today to do a tattoo update. Go over my recent session. So where I last left off, I had some more stuff done on my armpits, and the sides of the black of the eye were just blacked out again. So I'll show off how that healed. So here's the armpits, and again, we're not done here. It's one of the new additions. One of the eyes. It's the Panthera Black over Dynamic, so it's showing up about as dark as it was when it was fresh. So I'll go over here and show off this one. Some more of the eyes. There's another one down here. So, yeah, this last session, we added the black in the top and bottom of the teeth because we left the gap there in case we worked on these areas again. So this is the healed Gloom and XXX mixed. For the first time last week, I don't think I even mentioned it, but my tattoo artist Rick mixed Gloom and Panthera XXX to see how that would work out. It turned out really, really black. It's healed really, really solid. So that's the healed black, and this is fresh. So it's almost identical. Again, I don't know how that'll age. I don't have anything older than this in the Panthera Black. It's staying pretty different than the Dynamic still, so hopefully, and I mean, again, my chest was pretty dark, so hopefully it'll stay pretty close to how it is here. This session, we added some of these little striations and some of the shading around the teeth here. You can see we kind of matched it up with the top. And as we go down, we also added some more shading down and around here. But as we did that, we had to kind of realign some of the old stuff a little bit with Panthera, just so we could see where we were kind of thing, because some of the lines, as I said in the last week, were pretty, they're looking pretty washed out. They're still there, but they're closer to the original pigment because, again, it is Dynamic over Dynamic, so even though it's darker, it's only slightly darker, where the Panthera and the Dynamic that we're doing now, I've compared to sort of being like the difference of red and orange. So you can see it's almost just like a different color. It's not so much even, it's not so much about light and dark because they're both dark. It's just like a different pigment almost. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But yeah, it was a shorter session. Rick had some things to do, but he still wanted to get something done. So we did some interesting stuff anyway. Did some shading down here and stuff, and now you can kind of see how this shading is going to be in between all the places that don't have anything else. So like anywhere where there's negative space, that's kind of going to be how we shade in between things. So all around these red eyes and stuff like that, it's going to be shaded similarly to the chest or down here around the eye. So should really help to shape things going forward. So the next session we're going to be doing finally the chest highlights I keep barking about here. I keep going on and on about how we're going to do chest highlights, and we're finally going to get them done. Everything on my torso has been, it's going to sound funny, but has been tattooed now, obviously. But what I mean to say by that is everything for the third suit on the torso has been tattooed. So it's really just about refining things, and we're going to have to reline and reshade the old tentacles that we did with Dynamic Black with the Panthera to make them match up with the new chest and some of what we're doing on the eye and stuff like that in the armpits. So our approach to that is going to be just doing it bit by bit. So like we're not going to do, say, a huge session on just the tentacles likely. I mean, that may happen, but likely what's going to happen is whenever we're in the area doing the shading in between tentacles, we'll just do one. Like it'll just be part of a session rather than the whole point of the session, just to kind of bring them back to life and bring them into the darkness that we're achieving with Panthera over Dynamic so that they stay cohesive with everything else that's going on. So that session's now 2 weeks away. I've got a few weeks off. And it's going to be a big one, I feel. But then again, they all are. Even just this little bit of shading we added, I feel like added a lot of dimension to things. And it's going to really pop the tentacles out. Because for a long time, it was like, how are we going to pop the tentacles off the black? Like, how are we going to make them different from the background? And now it's finally clear to me, like, kind of how, like, it's been clear to Rick for a while. He's had the picture in his head, but I'm seeing that stage by stage kind of manifest. And there's a lot of trust that goes into any kind of big project like this, especially when most of it is going to be drawn on. And that's what a lot of this kind of stuff is. In terms of pain, this was a really, really easy one. Like I said, it was only an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, which is really, really short. Usually our sessions these days are between 2.5 and 4 hours. So this was pretty light work, and even the areas themselves that we were in weren't that bad. So nothing too major, and the healing is very, very light. This is, it feels a little bit like I haven't been tattooed. So yeah. From there, I'm not actually sure where the next week after that will be, because we have another session right after that, and after we do the highlights. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably end up going back down to the stomach and doing some more shading, and maybe some relining of the tentacles while we're doing shading, and just bringing things as much into focus as possible now. Now that we're working on the shading and stuff like that, I would say I'm probably I would say less than 6 months more to go on this project. Just because, like, it seemed like it was going to take forever during the first half of this. But now we're in the last half of this where it's just about refining and stuff. And I can kind of see that the end is coming up a little faster than I imagined. And from there, we'll be building out onto the sleeves. And it'll be, again, a continuation of what we've already done. But before all of that, in a few weeks here, since I have a little bit of time off before Christmas, I'm going to get both of my hands touched up. Someone mentioned in the comments a few weeks back, have I thought about doing Panthera on my rose on my hand to give it some more contrast? And the answer is absolutely yes. I've been going back and forth on the idea of whether I wanted to put red or silver or both in this, but I think that I want to use silver and not red. And if I want to do red, I can do that next year. I'll take it as it comes. But I think what I'm going to do is just redo the lines and some of the dots in Panthera black this time. And I'm going to do silver highlights. And I think that that's a better idea, because I think the red will look a little bit too much where I have nothing else red on my arms currently. Now this time next year, I might be done a sleeve this time next year. I might be done two. I'm not actually sure. Usually our approach is to do both. Like we'll like work one side, work the other. That's how I've done my sleeves. That's how I did my legs. So there's a chance that I'll be working on both. And then if that's the case, then I might be midway through both sleeves this time next year. It's exciting to think about. But it is, like, that's a guarantee that I'll be working on my sleeves within the year. And I think once I start working on the sleeves, and it's not something that you only see when I'm topless, it's going to be a big game changer, not just for me, but for a lot of people. If they can't see it all the time, why is it there? Like, you'll hear people say, why would you get your head tattooed? And if you have hair or you wear a hat, well, why would you get your back done? You know, you're never going to see that. Why would you get your ass tattooed? When was the last time you spent time looking at your ass? I mean, unless you're a very beautifully endowed woman, and your ass is working for you, I guess. I mean, more power to you if that's the case. But most people aren't going to be staring at their ass much. A lot of people still get their ass tattooed. It's the same thing. I like to have everything tattooed. I like tattoos. I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that. So, but anyway, for a lot of people, sleeves are more important than any other tattoo, because you interact with them the most. I actually think that if you like sleeve tattoos a lot and how much you see sleeve tattoos, hand tattoos are a little better than that. Throat tattoos are even cooler than that. And face tattoos, there's nothing you interact with more than that. So there are tattoos that you definitely see more than others, and I can understand the significance of that. But that being said, once I get to doing my sleeves, and then people can see them when I'm wearing t-shirts and stuff like that, and you can see it when I'm doing the podcast and stuff like that, and all the Remy reacts and things, I think it's going to make a lot more sense to people. And for some people, that's going to be the point where it's an actual thing, because now it's only a thing when I'm topless. You won't see this when you see me walking around, kind of thing. So I am a little bit excited for that, obviously. But I think before I get into the sleeves, I'm gonna finish my suit, my torso suit first. But I think then after that, I need to get up here and hit these roses again, because I think that with the Panthera Black, they'll have a way better chance of being seen. And they are still there, but there's that same pigment. So it would be like red on red, right? Where with Dynamic Black, it's red and orange. Panthera Black and Dynamic Black feels more like red and orange. Like you're working with two different colors. That's the way I'm starting to look at like the different black inks now, because they're all pretty dark. Like this is not a light black, but the Panthera, though it is darker for sure, it's got a different color to it. Like it doesn't look the same. It's not the same pigment. I don't know how they do it, but it's different. Because it's black, this is black, but they're different blacks. I still think Dynamic Black is a great black, and it would be great for most tattoos. You would never need to be any blacker than that. But if you're doing like a black on black suit, then you do need to worry about, or you should think about using different blacks. Because just because a black is black enough doesn't mean a different black won't show over it. Yeah, there's been a lot of learning in this. It's been a lot of fun. And it sounds like I'm always looking back on it like I'm done, but I'm looking back on it during it, like so that I can learn from it and take that experience and go farther with it in every other project. Like sleeves are gonna happen a lot faster because we've already gone through all the learning, or a lot of the learning experiences and kind of some of the setbacks on the torso. And that was always my game plan too. It was always like, well, we'll start out on the place you won't see unless I show you. So if I made a whole big mess of my torso, you're only going to see it if I show you. On my sleeves, you'll see that all the time. So my plan was always to do that, all that learning somewhere that I can conceal if I need to, kind of thing. Obviously, I started with the hand tattoos, but they've actually held up really well. So, I mean, these are a year old now. These guys are a year old. And they've only had one pass. And they're almost completely as they were. I look back at fresh pictures and, yeah, they both softened a little. But they're there. They're not going anywhere. It's just, I can make them better if I want to. And that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here soon. Anyway, I'll be making another one of these after my next session. And I look forward to letting you guys know what I get and showing it off and all that. If you like this video, feel free to comment or give it a thumbs up or any of that stuff. And I'll talk to you guys again soon.